One person has been shot dead and a dozen others have been wounded by the Israeli soldiers in a protest near the border between Israel and Gaza. The Israeli military has said that thousands had taken part in the demonstrations, threw burning tires, rocks and explosive devices towards the troops on the other side of the border fence. Soldiers responded with riot dispersal means according to rules of engagement. Gaza health officials said 90 people were hurt, 10 of them by live fire. Israel has handed over a deadline for the demolition of a Palestinian settlement in the embattled West Bank area. The Khan al-Ahmar village is home to members of the Bedouin tribe and lies on a desert hillside beside an Israeli highway that runs from Jerusalem to the Dead Sea. The village has been set for demolition since many months, and Palestinians have been protesting the move. The government of Chile has sent a letter to Venezuela denouncing their suggestions, which claimed diplomats from Chile, Colombia and Mexico had collaborated with Chilean opposition figures in drone explosions during a speech by President Nicolas Maduro last month. Venezuela's Communications and Information Minister has called on the three countries to clarify their possible participation and support in the attack. Activists protested the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court, even as President Donald Trump defended him from accusations of sexual assault. Activists marched from the Hart Senate office building to the Supreme Court, where they held a rally to support Christine Blasey Ford, the university professor who accused him of sexual assault in 1982 when they were both high school students in Maryland. U.S. President Donald Trump's latest round of punitive tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese imports has taken effect. The fresh tariffs make the total amount of Chinese imports hit by the U.S. tariffs to $250 billion. This has now further escalated the trade war, clouding the global economic horizon. Meanwhile, China has hit back with its own tariffs amounting to $60 billion in American goods. Thousands of Liberians protesters took to the streets of Monrovia to demand the return of $104 million in missing cash intended for the central bank. A series of shipments of notes ordered by Liberia's central bank from printers overseas have disappeared since last year after passing through the country's main ports. The scandal has fueled President George Weah's biggest political crisis since he took office in January this year. His cabinet ministers have given different amount of what has happened to the money. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that Germany wants a Brexit deal to keep Britain as close to the European Union as possible. She further added that the outlines of an agreement on Britain's departure from the EU needed to be in place by November. Speaking to an audience of students in Hanover, Merkel said that there was scope for Britain to continue to participate in individual EU programs such as the Erasmus student exchange scheme, but added that crucial questions like the Ireland-Northern Ireland border were very complicated. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani honored the 25 people killed at a military parade in Ahvaz, Iran, before an address on Nelson Mandela at the United Nations. Gunmen fired on a viewing stand in Ahvaz, where Iranian officials had gathered to watch an annual parade marking the start of Iran's war with Iraq. 12 members of the elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps were among the 25 dead, making it one of the worst attacks against Iran's most powerful military force. Iran's intelligence minister has said that a large network of suspects have been arrested in connection with the attack and that the attackers were paid by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and that Iran would severely punish those behind the bloodshed. The deputy head of Iran's Revolutionary Guards also accused the United States and Israel of involvement in the attack, and he said they should expect a devastating response from Tehran. The UAE and Washington have rejected the claim. Rain-drenched pilgrims refused to let the weather dampen their spirits as they greeted Pope Francis in AGLONA on the third day of his tour of the Baltic states. Francis celebrated Mass at a shrine at the Latvian village of AGLONA, southeast of the country. Despite dark clouds above the pilgrims, spirits were high. Many said they felt the presence of God as the helicopter carrying the pontiff approached the landing strip. In Iowa, 38 carriages of a cargo train derailed and fell into the Floyd River. The train was en route from Nebraska to Minnesota when the accident happened. Ten districts in the mountainous state of Himachal Pradesh have been affected by heavy rainfall, triggering landslides and severe flooding. The rescue operations in collaboration with the National Disaster Response Force rescued 19 people who were stuck due to inundation. The UN held a Nelson Mandela Peace Summit a day before world leaders begin address at the UN General Assembly. South Africa gifted the UN a statue of Nelson Mandela to honor the late president and anti-apartheid hero's 100th birthday. The general debate starts today, but the high-level meetings, including a call to action on the world drug problem hosted by US President Donald Trump, took place on Monday. Korean pop supergroup BTS talked about overcoming self-doubt and urged young people to love themselves during a speech to the United Nations. The leader of BTS talked about his own self-doubt and learning to embrace his flaws and fears. The South Korean boy band's Love Yourself album, Trilogy, has topped the music charts since its initial release in 2017. Britain's Prince Harry and Duchess of Sussex Meghan Markle took part in netball exercises and greeted Coach Cobb apprentices at Loughborough University. The royal couple took part in netball drills with British tennis star Laura Robson, athlete Paula Radcliffe and netball player Ebony Beckford Chambers, and met with apprentices ahead of the Coach Co Awards.